We are all the Goblin Army. Now go learn to paint.
Welcome to part 2 of my Reaper Miniatures Dragons Don't Share build. Today we take a view from my back garden because today we are spray painting our miniatures, and I have taken over our little outside garden shed and converted it into my little spray area. We take it in turns. The partner does the flowers, and then I spray the flowers with paint most of the time. Anyway, today I shall be using a grey primer from Army Painter on my Bones Miniatures. Now, most spray primers do not work with Bones Miniatures, so what I do first to make sure they do work is I'll spray a tiny part of the Bones miniature first, like I've done now here, and it's dried perfectly well, so I know this actual miniature will hold the paint and will dry. And before we start, I just want to go over some safety rules. With your spray painting, always have a filter. I use this one from 3M. It comes with 2 filters, and believe me, it will save your life. I have had 2 friends when I was a young man die from using the spray paint the wrong way, and it was a horrible time. So be careful. These spray paints can kill you. So always make sure you wear a mask. I don't want to see any of you or hear about any of you being hurt by spraying your miniatures. Remember, it's for fun. It's not for sniffing. It's not for anything else. It's for spray painting your miniatures only. So please take care while using any spray primer. So I have my mask on now. As you can see, it covers my mouth well, my nose, and will do the trick perfectly to stop me getting any poisons from the rattle can spray paint. So now we have the miniature on the base. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place the miniature like so, and we take the rattle can, take the lid off, and we shake the rattle can upside down, and you shake vigorously for about 60 seconds and let the whole mixture mix through. Once you've shaken the can for about 60 seconds, you can give a little test spray just across your board, and that's perfect. Now we're holding the can about 12 inches away from our miniature, and in very fine light sprays we go up and down the base. The key to a good coverage is just doing light sprays all over the miniature, because it is so easy to add too much paint. And many people, for example, keep it there and you keep spraying. All that does is makes the paint run, and you have too much paint coverage. And that's why we do it in very light and spray mists. So we just keep going through, just little 2 seconds on your spray, keep on going. Never concentrate on one place, otherwise you'll get a build-up of paint. And there we are. What you do now is we just leave this part dry, and then we come back and spray the other parts, and it's simple as that. So now we're back in my workshop. I thought I would go over the painting process. What we're going to do now is we're going to use a black ink wash. I am using Nano Oil by Games Workshop, and I shall cover the whole base with the Nano Oil. Now, it is expensive to do it this way. You can make your own oil. There are some very good YouTube videos on how to make your oil, but I still haven't found anything that really takes its place. I mean, this is really good. I mean, you can use this one, you can use the Army Painter black oil, or you can use the MSP. They all do fantastic oils. Many people have tried to make their own oils, and yes, for lots of terrain, go ahead. Right, so let's get cracking. I'm just using a cheap nasty brush from one of my local pound shops, and for washes on this size I want quite a large brush, so it'll be fine. And of course I'm opening a brand new Nano Oil, so I have two of these to paint. We'll see how much we use for these miniatures, and then we can work out a costing of how much it costs to actually use this Nano Oil. Now, I mean, I'm doing it as a commission painter, so I want all the best quality paints if I can possibly afford them on my miniatures for my customers. So I try to, cost isn't so much an issue, because I want my miniatures to look good. But of course, if you're on a budget and you know, you're trying to save some pennies, then of course make your own oil. And in fact, I'll probably try to make my own in the future, but at the moment we're going to stick with the Nano Oil. So there we are. We're going to start at the top, and straight away all that lovely shade is coming out. Oh, I do like these oils. Now what we're trying to do is spread the oil as much as possible, because it is an expensive oil and we want to get the whole base done. What you're trying to do is get all your oil into the recesses, because we're going to be dry brushing the heck out of this afterwards. So I'm just giving you an example of how we do this. Now I'm pushing the ink as much as I can, so it goes into the crevices, because like I said before, we are dry brushing over the top of all this and keeping the ink wash in the recesses of the miniature. You get a good picture of my egg head as I'm painting. That's not good. Yes, I think I'll have to work out these camera angles. I decided to get another webcam so I could actually talk to you while I was painting, but it's quite difficult to actually look at you while I'm painting. I have to look down, so maybe I should get a tattoo on the top of my head so you got something to look at. Oh my god. So as you can see where I am going with this. Now I need to get the whole base done, and what I will do is I won't make you suffer and watch a whole video of me putting on wash, because well, before I start, you won't want to watch the video and it will be very, very boring. So what I shall do is I'll do my Blue Peter special, and I will come back and show you once I have finished the wash coat. Okay then, so as you can see, I have done most of the well, I've finished the ink washes now. I've covered the whole base in the black ink wash, and as you can see here, I've done a bit of Agrax Earthshade just to give a bit of colour variation before I start the dry brushing. Now I did 2 bases exactly the same, complete with the towers, and I used up, I don't know if you can see that, quite a lot. So I got a third left in the pot. So we are talking, it costs about £3 to do both Dragons Don't Share bases, and that, you know, so that's 2 bases, which isn't too bad. It's a big miniature, it's a big model, and to me it's worth the added cost, and I'm quite happy. It's already looking very nice. So our next move is I like to use the old Terminator stone. Can you see that in the picture? From Games Workshop. There we go. From Games Workshop, and I will be dry brushing the entire miniature. I will explain first how I do this. With the main buildings, they'll get a heavy dry brush, and on the gravel around the area they'll get a lighter dry brush, and depending on how well the effect is, I will repeat the dry brush or not. It all depends how it comes out, but normally you can get away with 1 or 2 passes with your dry brush, and this will be the first colour we use. This will enhance the stone, and it will enhance the shadow effects of all the rocks and bricks on our miniature. For the dry brushing, I am using this beautiful dry brush, vehicle and terrain dry brush by Army Painter, and this is a real bad boy. It really gets the job done. Now for dry brushing, of course, I'll go over what we need. Here, just on my desk here, I have some tissue and my Terminator stone. I am going to put the dry brush into the Terminator stone. All you do, you're taking off the excess paint on your tissue, and you go straight onto the miniature, and instantly awesomeness appears. Yeah, love it. Working on the edges, because this is where the most worn areas are. You always highlight the edges the most. La, 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 la. There's something about when you're painting a miniature and it starts taking shape, as I call it, form, shadows, highlighting. It's a fantastic, it makes you feel good, it makes you feel creative, it gives you a sense of, I don't know, it just makes me happy. I mean, I've had lots of hobbies in the past. You know, I collected Star Wars miniatures, and I was a huge Star Wars fan back in the 80s and 90s. With miniature painting, you're being creative. I mean, I loved my Star Wars collection, but it's not quite the same looking at your Star Wars miniatures in the blister packs on the walls. when you've actually created something and painted something, there's something very, very special about that, because it's your own work. Yes, the sculptors have made a fantastic miniature, but when you're painting anything, it can be a miniature, it can be on paper, sculptures, anything like that. You're making something from your imagination. You're using your skills. There's something there that's fantastic and special, and this is why I love doing this, because each miniature I make is different, and it's something I've done which makes me feel super special. So as you can see straight away, I'm looking at the miniature now, you can see the highlights are coming instantly. I will be doing this on all the miniature, all around. I'm not going to just stay here and show you all. I'll get it all done, and I'll come back once I've finished this section of dry brushing, and we can move on to the next stage. But so far, as you can see, it's already getting a lovely stone effect. Later on we'll be having nice greens around the bottom, and I do, if you've watched any of my videos and know me, everybody knows I love to have my greeny moss effect. So I'll come back once I've finished my two bases, and we'll move on to the next step. So here we are, we have finished doing the main part of all the stones, and I think it's come out very well, and we're ready to move on to the next stage. As you can see, I've gone over all the areas, including the stones, and I'm very happy with this effect so far. So now we're going to move on to the green, and for this I'm using Nurgling green, and what I'm going to do with the Nurgling green is I shall add it to all the bottom parts of the miniature, around the pillars, around inside, and this will really start to give an aged effect of weathering to the bricks and stone. So here we go, we're going to start with the Nurgling green. Again, we're using the large dry brush from Army Painter. And we'll start around the insides of this little tower, keeping it to the base. And we're keeping it right to the bottom. Go around all the bottom areas. Some of the pillars over here. Let's get the brush. Such a simple thing to add, but as you can see, it already you've given an absolutely beautiful effect to the stones. It already has aged the miniature instantly. Fantastic. I mean, these simple little things, you could miss out on your miniature, but I just think it adds so much more. It's just that extra little piece of detail which really makes the miniature stand out. So once again, I will go around the whole miniature with the green, and once I've finished that, we'll go on to the next stage, and we'll be about done for the basic finished miniature for your basin. Anyway, I will come back and show you that once it's done. Now we've done all the green, we're going to move on to the last part. As you can see, I've added green. It's just a hint of green to the base and all around the area. And for the final touch for this basic build and paint, we shall be going to the Agrax Earthshade, and what I want to do with this is I just want to add a tiny bit of variation to the bricks. Very simple, and I'm just using an old starter brush, and I'm going to add the brown ink wash to certain parts of the rocks, and it will just add an extra bit of variation, and it's a very simple thing to do. Just one little rock, a couple of seconds, boom, done. But it'll just add a little bit of, breaks the colours in it. Once that dries, it will give a nice effect, and we're just doing it here and there. I use the cotton bud to remove any excess ink that I don't want. I'll do one of the steps. Just there. Here. Thin the floor. See that. Once this is dry, you'll get a better view of it all, but at the minute I'm just putting on individual bricks. You don't have to do too many. It just breaks the model up a little bit more and gives you another aged effect, and I think it's really adds another layer of interest to the miniature. So you're just picking out the odd brick. Same on the pillars. Just one or two bricks, add a little bit of shade to the brick. Here. So as you can see, again, it's transforming the bricks. It's, yes, trying to find my correct words here. It's transforming the bricks. Like you say, you don't need to do many, but it's just enough to break it up. What I'll do is I will carry on, and I'll come back and show you what's finished. So here we are. this is all we can do for now. The basic brickwork and paint is done. As you can see, I have done the browns now, and I'm very happy with how it's coming out. But this will be all for today's video. Once I've finished the actual miniature, I will be adding some grass flocking, maybe some little plants and bushes, some shrubs, and but for now this is all that needs to be done for the base, and I think it's a great start to the Dragons Don't Share diorama. Next week I will be making a start on the miniatures and the dragon. I don't know how many parts that will last, but I'll probably start with the dragon first, and then we'll start with the miniatures. I hope you're enjoying these little videos, and all I can say is until next time.
Goodbye, my fellow ones. Sleep well. Dream of evil paintbrushes.